What's going on, man? We're back.
Yeah, we are.
In snow again.
Yep, March 3rd.
Yeah.
and it's still coming.
Yep. So it's good though.
It is good. Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about this this phenomenon that's taking place.
Okay.
that you're already familiar with, but I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit more about it and maybe navigate a dialectic between some of the feedback that we're getting, if you will. So,
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know about Ty's recent, what would you call it?
I don't know. We have like, we do the other stuff, like we do like the wandering therapist stuff on YouTube, right? And we average, right now, if we're lucky, maybe 70 people, maybe 100 people that watch most of the videos we put out right now.
Yeah.
And,
which is nice.
Yeah, it's just there really.
Yeah,
it's just really there for the people who kind of already know us, know me, kind of, you know, we give therapy tips and, you know, talk about principles of wholehearted recovery, that kind of stuff, answer questions for people. And for some reason, this week, we had a YouTube short that we put out that is far and above what most of our videos do in terms of people viewing and participating and interacting. We have a video that just came out, and then in the last week it's gone from our average of, you know, anywhere from 70 views to a couple hundred views. This one's up at, I think yesterday or this morning, we were up at 73,000 views.
Yeah. So for us, that's
massive
going
for us.
viral. All right.
For us, that's outperforming by like more than 10 times, like more than 100 times, you know? So it's like, and we've only had 2 videos that we've ever put out that have been up in like the tens of thousands of views.
Right.
And both of them have been over topics that the participation is over the topic itself rather than the principle we were trying to teach.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's the best part about it is, and they both have to do with animals.
Animals, something about animals.
Yeah. And by the way, it's at 79K.
Oh, it's at 79K.
Yeah, so
okay.
got an extra, like, I don't know, 6 overnight. So, but I think the thing that's kind of interesting to me is it's not that the rise in views. It's the feedback and the comments that people are leaving and kind of giving us a little bit of insight as to what are people thinking when they're watching this? Like, what are they getting out of it? Like, what are their feelings? And this one to me is kind of interesting. So the gist is Ty was out hunting with his daughter, 13-year-old daughter. This would have been the first big game that she had ever hunted at least. Mm-hmm. While you were out there, you had one lined up just within reach.
We had one lined up. My daughter can shoot out to about 425 yards. We had this one at about 370 yards, and we had kind of settled in on it. She was actually laying on the ground, looking through the scope of the rifle, about ready to shoot the deer, and then the deer moved and we had to wait on it for a minute, but she's laying there ready to do that.
You guys are wearing bright orange.
Bright orange. Some other hunters come down the mountain on the ridge that we're on. They walk within about 100 yards of us and see us, and then they turn and leave, and then they turn around and they look up on the mountain and they see the same deer that my daughter is laying prone on the ground ready to shoot, and they come back right up above us and shoot the deer. Right. So we did this video, and I just kind of said how like frustrating that was, that there's nothing unethical or illegal that went on there, and we're hunting public land. Anybody can hunt the same animals that we're hunting, but there's kind of, in my mind, there's not that it's illegal, but there's kind of a code. You know, there's kind of a code amongst sportsmen in my mind, And we've been getting some comments to the contrary, which has been interesting. We'll talk about that.
We'll read it through a couple of those.
So I get on and I talk about how I'm frustrated by the fact that these people, especially because I was so excited for my daughter to have this experience, that these people came in over the top of us like that, hunted this deer, shot the deer. And then I talk about the interaction I had with the hunters afterwards, where the inside of me wanted to kick him in the teeth. But instead I was trying to teach my daughter how to like be able to balance showing excitement for somebody else's success while also speaking what your feelings are. And so I took her up to see the deer that had been shot, talk to the hunters, let them know that we had been, and that we kind of knew that they knew that we were there. And they kind of looked at me like, yeah, we kind of know. But then they're like, well, we didn't see you. And I'm like, yeah, that bright orange was too much.
On white.
Yeah. So anyway, like we have this experience and I just talk about it on there. And my purpose for talking about that wasn't necessarily to talk about the ethics or morals of hunting, so to speak, as much as it was that it's possible to balance two feelings at once, where you can be excited for somebody else at the same time that you're still frustrated on the inside, and that you can still have a little bit of class and have a little bit of like the ability to manage your emotions in maybe a triggering or hard situation, right?
Exactly. And to me, the feedback that we've gotten is that it's a full spectrum, right? Yeah. So we've gotten some people. I've somebody was like, Jesus, 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 amen. Somebody said, this guy for president. Somebody said, oh, you have more willpower than me. I would have punched him right in the face.
You're a great dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff.
You're teaching your daughter, what it means to be a good man.
Yeah.
That's
one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is, you're a weak man who didn't show your daughter how to stand up for herself. You're a horrible person with horrible morals because you kill animals. Whatever. You could pull out a few of the favorite ones.
I do want to do that real quick, because there were some that I was like, that's kind of creative even. Yeah. So. This is one probably you're not going to love it as much. This is why other countries think we're weak. Love strong, yeah, love everyone, but there's tough love too. Some people need checked. If we don't, those people that don't love strong will just take everything.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and the point that they're bringing up is that's what's been interesting about this is I can take that feedback and hear that and go, that's a valid point.
Yeah.
Like we do want to teach our kids to be strong and to not get walked on and to have healthy boundaries. And I would probably phrase it differently than some of these people are phrasing stuff, but they're bringing up a decent point, right?
Yeah. Which I guess I'm curious in that experience, kind of more about your daughter. So what was her response to all of it, like, and her thoughts in that?
Yeah, it was really interesting. We actually, after it all took place, she was really excited, kind of getting those jitters that come with the anticipation and the challenge and everything, that we'd finally gotten in the right spot. And then it all went down, and she actually watched the whole thing happen in front of her eyes, where she actually watched the animal fall, roll. We knew exactly where it was, even before the guys who'd shot it were, because of where they were positioned versus us. And so I said, well, let's go up there and let's at least see the final product of when you finish a hunt, and I said, let's go talk to the guys. And so we walk up there, and she's kind of with me, and we go straight up to the animal right where they're at. And hey guys, just saw you shoot that deer, like, congratulations, that's got to be really exciting for you. Just wanted you guys to know that we were right below you guys. We were really excited about that too. And they kind of looked at us like, yeah, you could tell that they knew that we had been there, but again, nothing illegal. There's, and then Paisley looked at the deer, and then she started to cry.
Yeah.
And I said, I thought she was crying because this was the first time she was really seeing an animal that had just been killed.
The dying process.
Via hunting, yeah. And so I was like, oh yeah, like this is all part of it. I'm talking her through it. And then we get done talking to these guys and we leave, and she turns to me and she's like, Dad, I'm not crying because of seeing the dead animal. She's like, I'm pissed. she's like, I'm so mad, Dad. Like, I'm so mad. Like, this doesn't seem right. Like, this doesn't seem fair. You know, and so she was kind of having a really rough time with it because, yeah, this is what happens when you hunt on public land, you know,
Right, yeah.
sometimes with people that I wouldn't typically want to hunt with, but happen to also have the same privileges that I do, right?
Yeah, right.
And so she was actually kind of having a rough time with it. And it was
Yeah.
actually a chance for me to try to teach her a lesson that's why, one of the reasons why we went and talked to these guys is that I wanted them to kind of know. But there's a way for me, at least my style, to let them know without having to go and
Just
have
look
a brawl,
for a fight.
have a brawl in the mountains.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That makes a lot of sense.
River. Well, there goes the dog. So, but yeah, so.
Yeah, I think that to me was maybe one of the pieces of this where people were responding and saying like, well, what about your daughter and like what you're teaching her kind of thing. But it seems like you were giving her the education that you felt was the right approach.
Given the circumstance,
Yeah.
I mean, I want, me personally, with my value system, I can value what everyone else is saying. I felt like I was teaching my daughter how to actually have a conversation with somebody where she could disagree with them and show that she was upset about something without it having to go to the Jerry Springer show.
Yeah.
You know?
So now I'm curious about a time where maybe you didn't handle it with as much finesse.
Which one are you thinking about?
I'm wondering if you have an example. I can think of maybe a couple instances, but I'm curious if you have one that comes to mind that you'd be willing to share.
Where I didn't handle it with as much
and
finesse?
it didn't go. It probably taught you don't do it like that anymore.
That's a good question. You're putting me on the spot. I don't know if I can think of one. If you have one that comes to mind, I mean, we can definitely
I
talk
don't know
about
if this would qualify or not, but I do know that when you came into our family, there was kind of a disruption in the hierarchy of gaming.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, well, do you want me to explain it?
Yeah, I'd love that.
All right, Joel Jones, if you're watching, this one goes out to you too. So this is your dad.
My dad. Yeah.
Yeah, your dad. My father-in-law. I have this thing inside of me that it's kind of a burn that I try to actually keep in check all the time. It's like a competitive burn. I win. I only play to win, you know, but I also try to keep good sportsmanship and stuff. The one that I'm thinking of is actually playing, of all things, playing badminton in the backyard. Badminton. And we're playing and it's getting really competitive over badminton.
Literal birdie.
Yeah, like and Joel started shaving points. So he started like, you know, we were up like 13-10 and then we'd score like 2 more and then he'd be still saying it was 13-10. And I was like kind of trying to correct him, and finally he got mad at me. I got mad at him. We were literally dropping F-bombs at each other through the badminton net. Like, you know, you know, and I can tell you that in the aftermath of that, I felt total shame. Yeah. You know, I was like, oh, come on, Tyler. Like, why do you have to fight with your father-in-law over a badminton game? Like, give it up. Like, it isn't worth the fight. Right. Like, and the reason why is because in the aftermath, I know it's not good for me when I can't sleep at night because I've acted against my own morals. And my own morals would say, hey, keep your cool, you know, try to have some type of productive interaction with each other instead of now having made it awkward for everybody else that night. We can't even stay in the same house now because I want to crack my like badminton racket over your head. You know? So yeah, and I've had a few of those moments. My fuse personally is like really, really long most of the time, but when it goes, it's not always pretty, you know. So.
Oh man. Yeah. I do think that's something I admire about you though, is that you have the ability to somehow parse out the good and the negative or challenging in somebody or in an interaction, and not come away with feelings of bitterness or hatred towards that person.
Yeah.
Like I that's a skill I'm trying to adopt right now and get a little better at.
Yeah, I think it's a really valuable skill when you're, especially like when you work in a profession like being a therapist.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I mean, you're going to either add fuel to a fire that's already burning between a couple that's having struggles with each other or with a client that has struggles with you, if you can't figure out how to actually find a little piece of truth and go, yeah, I can see that.
Oh man.
You know, which is so difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, like even with some of these comments on this video here, there's a little piece of me that reads them and is like one guy, like he posts like, you guys thanks, good job putting an image of an elk inside of a video talking about deer, you know, and then he spelled deer, D-E-A-R. And I'm like, well, thank you for correcting me. And because I love you, it's actually D-E-E-R,
Yeah.
right? You know, and I'm like, why am I getting sucked?
Tit for chat, baby.
Why am I getting sucked into that stuff? Like, I don't need to get sucked into that stuff, you know? I'm like, yeah, you're right. We did use an image of an elk in the video. You're right. I'm glad you know you're like ungulates, you know? Like, you know, that's awesome.
I've never heard that term in my life, by the way. That's one I'll have to look up. Ungulates.
Basically, like it's the big game animal that's a grazing animal. You know?
Okay. Thank you.
Where they basically eat their grass and then they like regurgitate it to eat it again. You know. Anyway. So.
Okay. Well, one thing that we've learned from this is we're going to be doing a lot more animal videos.
Yeah, we need to include animals a lot more, but also I do think that the principle you were trying to get to before I took us off the rails other places is that there is a value in even in the feedback that we've been getting that we didn't even intend to get.
Oh yeah.
There's value in finding some truth inside of that. And it's okay to find that truth and still feel like if I look at our situation, I don't think I would change much about how I handled that if it happened again.
Right, yeah.
I might have been a little bit more firm in my language a little bit with those guys, but I still would have wanted to keep it at a level of, hey, we're all out here together. We all want to have a good time. Like, you know, I probably maybe said something about, you know, just common courtesy, you know, and the old school principles of just, you know, some chivalry and stuff too. But other than that, I wouldn't have changed it. And that's okay too. Like I think that's something that's actually missing in our country today is that we can't tolerate anything that feels in conflict with each other.
Discomfort.
Without it going to total drama or like trying to like stick it to somebody else. And it also, you know, in our culture, we're also having a struggle even just having the ability to have freedom of speech. And so to be able to get that feedback and have people have their freedom of speech and to deliver their message in whatever form of drama they want to, that's okay. Like, you know, it might not be as effective in their relationships. I wouldn't want to be married to a lot of those people.
Nobody wants to marry a troll.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but they do bring up some good points, and it's worth it for us to take a step back and to look at those things and to be willing to see the other perspective because there's value in it, you know? And I think that's what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, I think that is the target exactly. I've been doing this this new master's program, trying to get my feet wet a little bit and understand the academic environment, and it's a very touchy place, believe it or not, and
that's what's so crazy about the academic environment is that it was supposed to be designed for people to come and learn and share ideas, and now it's a place where it is very touchy.
So I wonder how, you know, this is going to go for me, where I love having discussions about ideas and different perspectives and angles. And I mean, sometimes I do feel emotion surge because I'm human, but I think I've done a fair enough job, especially in recent years, getting better at compartmentalizing those things and saying, hey, no, this isn't about me. Don't take this personally.
Yeah.
And just kind of, try and see it for what it is and actually see it from their perspective as much as possible. And, Chelsea and I have been having some really thoughtful discussions recently. She's also doing her own program, and part of her class is to follow this bill in Utah, the trans bill.
Oh, yeah.
And stay updated with some of the developments on it and the conversations being had around it. And as controversial a topic as you could find, she is following, right?
Yeah.
And that's been interesting to me, just hearing the dialogue in her class, is at least she presents it, and then some of the things that she's learning in the media, and then us talking about it ourselves, like, what do you think?
Yeah.
And what does that conjure up? Like, what are some of the and to me, sometimes the biggest component to me that I'm at least drawing on right now is the unintended consequences that we don't take the time to consider.
Yeah.
When it comes to our decision making and interactions with other people. So that's something that I'm like, thinking about Paisley in that situation. Like, you're going into it with your own kind of thoughts and direction, but then to bring her in and knowing this is going to impact her and being thoughtful and cognizant of that, to me, that's really valuable.
Yeah.
Almost more than anything else you did or said was that you were thoughtful of the person that you cared about present,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, I think I was trying to also be thoughtful as best I could inside of my own emotions of the people that were also in this instance with us.
Right, yeah.
It was, everyone's excited to be successful. Anyone who's a hunter who gets to be successful is excited.
Yeah.
So
good deal, man.
anyway. Yeah, well, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good topic today.
Yeah.
We'll see how the rest of this turns out.
Yeah, I just can't wait for you to get out there and hunt another buck deer.
Yeah, me too. We got someone with a falcon over there that my dog's going to try to eat here, so we better wrap this up.
Yeah, let's call it good.